What's up, YouTube? Starter decks are here, and that means it's time for my favorite time-honored tradition of taking out the pieces that are generically useful for my favorite decks. Sorry, Zoro, but I'm recruiting these guys for the minks. Hey, don't look at me like that. Everyone else was just taking the stuff for Mihawk anyway. So here's the list, and as you can see, we are finally beginning to move away from the Supernova package. The new Kinemon lets you dig 2 deeper into the deck and also discards a useless card, which nets you an extra way to discard additional Zos outside of just relying on the blocker Bonnie. Additionally, it feels a lot better to play assorted one-off cards such as a Laboon or Megalo, which have powerful effects, but you would have a hard time seeing even one running 3 or 4 of them simply because they are unsearchable. Of course, the Minx engine is still intact, with Pedro joining our happy troop, as there are finally a large enough number of targets that he is quite adept at removing in the current meta, and we even get to add in a couple copies of Odin to help stall out 6 Costanels even after they've been boosted by the Very event. As you will see, this deck has very much shifted to being a removal-based deck because we are able to play around most decks' removal protection quite effectively. The likes of opponents' Laboons are trounced by our leader effect and attacking into them, and any character with inherent protection can simply be frozen in place. The consistency boost is noticeable. I have fewer games that I have to go without Zo, and more often than not I see enough 5-cost carrots to get the job done now that there's no risk of my Supernova searchers sending them all to the bottom of the deck. That being said, while Odin is a nicety for us in some matchups, he doesn't boost the overall power of the deck that much. Meanwhile, other decks in the meta are getting a much larger bump in their potential power level. Is a decent consistency boost enough to let Carrot compete? Well, let me show you how the deck plays, and you can make that determination for yourself. Alright, so here we are in Game 1 up against Blue-Yellow Nami. No surprises there. She's probably not going anywhere anytime soon for this meta. And as you'll see soon enough, I'm doing something a little different this time. I had a request to basically slow down the gameplay speed. Usually I bump it up to 1.5x speed. This time around, we're going to be going at 1x speed, which means instead of a straight play-by-play, which I usually do, I may meander a little bit more in my discussion topics. For here though, we did start off with the Kinemon, and we are going second, so we can go ahead and use it. Of course, Kinemon, we can't rest our leader, so it's useless on turn 1 to get the effect, but you can still rest the Dawn, and so we just go ahead and pitch another one. We're filling up our board with little guys. We do have the Law in hand, so we'll be able to Law, bounce one back, get a carrot into play, and I probably won't need 2 of these 8-cost carrots. I am going to be playing the Laboon this game, and as a result, I won't swing 7 into my opponent. Usually it is better if you can try to get them to take the first hit, just because it does put them at an awkward amount of cards in their hand. They go to 9 at the start of their turn, so then they won't be able to draw with their leader effect. Instead, though, because they didn't play the Nami and they played the Kikunojo, I am just going to opt to counter with my event so that they don't get to utilize their leader effect to get the extra draw. Unfortunately, I don't have Zo in play. I didn't get it early enough, but I do have it now, so I'll be able to drop it next turn. I still don't really want to give him a card draw, and so I'm thinking about giving him a 1 and a 2. And I think I do end up doing that. It also makes it so that I can swing into the Kikunojo if I so desire, or even just pop it with the 6-drop carrot that I just top decked. So now I can swing 7/7 and leave up all my characters, and then we'll just take 2 damage, I believe is probably the best course of action. Or maybe I guess I'll go 5/7/7. Oh, he doesn't have a Dawn attached. This is one of the rare cases you could actually stick 3 Dawn on Kinemon and actually try to get in with him. Although, it does mean that, if he were to play Graveblade, I do still have enough cards untapped. But I would probably have to tap something that he could then swing into. But yeah, there's no way that paying 7 mana to tap 2 of my guys is worth it. So instead he is just going to go for 6 and then 8 and get his draw. I'd be very surprised if this didn't go with the Law. It does not. Okay, well, I do disagree with that line from my opponent, but we'll just go ahead and take this opportunity to get the Law Beppo in play, freeze his Robin, swing a couple 7s, actually 3 7s to be exact, and then I'll restand my carrot at the end of the turn, and he'll just have his leader to attack with. So we are in pretty good control of this game. The only potential issue, and this is an issue that now that I've cut the Supernova Searchers out of the deck, does come up a little bit more often than I would like, is that we don't have a Law Beppo follow-up for next turn, and he does have the Whitebeard to kind of punish this line. So he is just going to swing a 7. I will go ahead and counter out of that one. I believe, yeah, I should just give the 6-cost carrot. And now I do have the Elaclaw in hand, which is kind of interesting because if he were to block with the new gate now, I can use the Elaclaw to put the new gate in range of getting frozen, which then if we just drop another carrot down, then we could freeze that, and as well as the Robin, and maybe we could swing over. Oh, I guess I'm going to try to swing over the Robin. I actually kind of disagree with this play for myself. I think we need to like start trying to end the game pretty soon. But I think what I'm doing here is I'm just like eating all of the cards out of my opponent's hand, and then we're going to try to freeze the new gate here. Or, okay, I guess we're just going to take all the cards out of his hand, freeze the Robin. It's kind of the same thing. There's basically no way that we can die this turn because of the Laboon. We'll be able to protect our Law. And we do probably go to 0. He also goes to 0 cards in hand, but he's probably feeling okay about it. Yeah, I will give that up, and we will just take the damage. But I can now go ahead and eliminate the new gate, freeze the Robin, eliminate the Gecko Moria, and he's in top deck mode. I mean, that isn't amazing, but it's pretty good for me. And I also get to establish a blocker. So those are all pretty nice. Now the question then becomes, do I want to attack their leader? I always choose to do so. Even if he were to get a useful trigger out of it, another 5k or even a 6k body, I do have enough counter power that I could get out of it. Actually gets into a new gate, so that's actually like worst case scenario because I don't have another Law Beppo in hand. If I had another Law Beppo, then it would really be no big deal. We would just play that. Now I can dig for a Law Beppo and play over probably, actually it might be time for the 6-cost carrot to go. I do hate to abandon it just because okay, it looks like I'm not going to do that. This is very dubious, potentially, because it means I'm giving up going for the Law Beppo, because I have the Wanda in hand. I could play over one of my characters, get the Wanda in play, and go from there. Also, he's not going to turn this new gate sideways until after I swing with the Law Beppo, because otherwise I could just attack over it. So it's pretty safe for me to go for a 5 into this Perona. I probably will die, and I'm not turning the Bonnie, obviously. And even if he does give me a card for it, then I can just swing 12 at it with the Law Beppo, and then he again gives me the last couple cards, or actually, well, yeah, we'll see if he wants to turn the new gate. It would actually be very useful for me if he did, because then I could just use my event, play the carrot from hand, and freeze it as well. And then even if he has the Sanji, then there's no way that we die. Okay, I guess I'll rest the Laboon. You know, at this point, we are, I guess, going to just play over it. If I get Grav-bladed, though, I will be the saddest man alive. But okay, yeah, here we go. We'll discard a useless card and I guess play over the 5-cost carrot with another 5-cost carrot. But, you know, he'll have 3 life. We've got coming up potentially... Oh no. The 3rd new gate. Man, this is getting really scary really fast. Now, the nice thing, again, is we can freeze the Robin turn after turn. I could even freeze one of the new gates, but more importantly, I can also just swing over one of the new gates. But finally, I will dig for the Law Beppo, I think. I think it is time to dig for the Law Beppo. I keep a blocker up. I'll have a lot of counter power, so... even if, well, like Zeus would kill me still if I did dig for Law Beppo. So that's the one reason to not go for it. So I guess I'm not going to do that. Let's, I also didn't swing over the new gate, which was another thing that I was thinking I might go ahead and do. Although, now with this Perona in play, stopping my 7k swing, we'll just go ahead and poke it. See if it dies. If it does, great. If it doesn't, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't add that much to his board. And with him giving that counter power up, swinging 14 into the Whitebeard looks really good to me. I could also, kind of ignore it and establish 2 blockers and say that there's no way that I'm going to die, probably. And then in which case I would just swing a 12 with my Lob Eppo into the new gate. But there's basically no way that we can kill him. Once he got that trigger, I think the time for trying to kill him passed. So yeah, we'll just get a 2k with this. In fact, I don't even necessarily know why I'm playing this Wanda out. Unless my objective is to not hold up a Dawn, which I guess it is. This also doesn't really make any sense, swinging the 12 into the 5, but he'll go ahead and block it anyway. I should have swung 12 into 12. Sometimes you look back at these games and you just kind of kick yourself for actions that you took. Even so, we're going to set up for a lethal next turn and play out this Pedro, I imagine. You can give up all 3 blockers if need be, and we'll still have a 7 and 11 MR leader, so we can go 7, 7, 11, 7, 8, 11, and that's usually enough to close out the game. And yeah, I dump out... Oh wow, am I really gonna... I guess, maybe there's a world that this game goes another turn. I really don't think it is, and so I think I should have just given up the 5 cost over the 6 cost, because now our swing is a lot worse. It's we can only go 6 and then 7, 11, 7, 7, 11. And, sometimes that doesn't kill them. We're also kind of now at this point banking on them turning both of these new gates sideways. There's a world for the Nami player where that doesn't happen. Anyway, we do get to block with Pedro and rest a Dawn, which is actually pretty useful. It was, well, he can still play Bourse, but now he can't attach to his leader and play the Bourse. We're also not scared of a 12k, so if he wants to turn both of these, then we say let him. And our 6k is not worth comparatively, so yeah. Now, again, we are going to be going for game, but once again, swings are not so good. So I can swing 7, I think it should be a 7 to start with the carrot, and then I'll swing the 11, and it kind of forces our opponent to respect the fact that I could have gone 7, 11, and then 14, right? So he has to give me the 2 cards right away. And that means that basically he's going to have 1 card to handle against 2 7k swings, and we can swing the carrot first, so there's no chance that the trigger will pop out another Perona to freeze one of our attacks. And, well, he took it, and now 11 always kills the 7, so... Game 2, and we're finally up against a, well, not a newcomer, but one of the starter deck leaders, and that is going to be Kuzan, who is actually pretty solid this format. He's got a couple bad matchups, but I do expect to see, 1 or 2 at any given tournament in my bracket, so you definitely a deck you should be prepared to face. And so, their common game plan when they go second, they want to play the 4-6 that bottom decks a 1, which can be very annoying for our deck if you only have 1 1-drop, which right now we kind of only are going to have the Wanda. So if Bluegrass comes down, which again he usually does, then basically our 5-cost carrot isn't going to be able to freeze it unless I were to commit this 1-cost carrot down as well. I will go ahead and just dump out the Odin. He's not particularly useful in this matchup. Thankfully, at least this carrot does find a stage, so we can dump that later with our Bonnies that we already have in hand, and instead of giving up a real card for that discard. So, hitting the Zoe, even though I already have one in play, is still useful. I will just start taking damage. Of course, we want to stay under the 6 cards. That is also why I countered early against this deck. You don't want to give them a free E-Show. Of course, they will be looking to Garp into, well, in this case, E-Show, but theoretically he could have played any of the Admirals. Thankfully, though, we didn't go above 6, so we don't have to discard 2. He could have discarded 2 anyway, just to filter cards out of his hand. I guess he likes the cards in his hand. Now, here's a useful thing that we can do, though, which is, of course, use our Megalo to pop one of his cards, or I guess I could just Bonnie to draw first. I still go up to 4. And, alright, I guess I'm going to Kinemon instead. Kinemon could have drawn us into a carrot, which is actually probably more useful in terms of bodies in play. Yeah, I guess, what really should have happened there. We should have swung out, played the Bonnie, gotten our Dawn back, and then we would have a Bonnie in play instead of this 2K Kinemon. The Megalo always dies, but it already did its job. I kind of treat it like a 4-cost event that just KOs an 8K most of the time. Now, we are up to the 6 cards, but we also have something to discard that we don't even want, which is the Zo, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if he did E-show us. I'd probably just give up like one of the Bonnies and then the Zo. In this case, though, I can continue swinging face. Usually against Kuzan, you want to just keep on pressuring their leader instead of swinging into their bodies. They do, despite having a bunch of cards in their hand, they do play a lot of bricks. So at some point, it can be difficult for them to counter out of even like a 6K swing, even with like 4 cards in hand, just because they have like 2 bricks and 2 1Ks, that does happen. Of course, Megalo pops Admirals, so I can now play the Bonnie, get rid of the Zo, but I did find my way into another carrot, so I could just play that instead, which would set me up for a better 8-cost carrot. I do have a Wanda Searcher as well, so, I didn't get the 8-cost carrot, but we will take a Law Beppo going into our 10 Dawn turn. That was kind of a flex play. Of course, Megalo gets rid of it forever, and then he can't use the Activate Main effect, which gives him a Dawn onto his leader or character. I'm not sure, does that one discard or not? I don't think it does. I think it just gets to attach. But I will take a free block here. I mean, free sort of. Now I have to actually defend it. But giving a 1K to block a 5 and a 6K swing, sounds like pretty good value to me. I don't know what he's going to do here. I guess he's just going to freeze my carrot and then also play another 6-cost Garp, I believe. Yeah, and probably play another Admiral. It's a decent one. He can filter out a card as well as bottom deck my Wanda, I suppose. I am probably just going to rest that with my Law Beppo next turn, and then I don't have an event, so I guess Megalo can try to get in for 5, and I would actually probably turn my Bonnie as well in this situation. I really do need to close out the game. The board is mounting quickly in his favor, so yeah, it'll be 5 with Megalo. I think I should just turn the Bonnie. I really do. Now that I'm a 6K or 7K leader anyway, I don't imagine that my opponent is going to be swinging particularly high. He has to establish some blockers, and they have to be decently sized blockers because, of course, Carrot gets to rest the small one for free, unless you were to establish 2 or 3 small blockers, but even in that case, then you have to start playing over your own characters, which also doesn't feel good. So what I imagine he is likely going to do is play out a large blocker, hold up 2 Dawn for counter events, and call it a day. That being said, though, it does mean that his Garps can't turn for free into my 6-cost Bonnie, so that is something that's useful. I will just take the damage to start here. I'm going for game next turn, and I don't think that I'll live another turn after this, unless I were to miraculously draw into my one of Electrical Luna, or possibly another Law Beppo. He will freeze my Law Beppo, which actually does, kind of put a damper on my day. I can actually freeze 2 of his units and KO a third one, and that would leave him with 3 swings into my blocker, plus 2 life, so it should theoretically be very difficult for him to kill me. And the only way that he could get through it is if he were to make one of them unblockable, or if he got rid of the blocker with something like a Grav Blade. And then his swings look like 8, 8, 10, which I will be giving up my 2 1Ks in hand, so I just have a 2K left. So I need my remaining cards to be counter power. That does seem like what I'm going to be opting to do. This is pretty much guaranteeing lethal next turn. There's not a combination of cards that he could play from this position. He could have Ice Time, he could have whatever he wants, 4 counter events in hand. He is gonna die next turn. There's just no way around it. And now that he has swung, he can't kill me. There's no rushers in Kuzan. Theoretically, they could tech one in, but As far as I know, no Kuzan deck does play any rushers. Of course, he could, like Grav Blade, hold up 2 mana for counter events, like I said, but there's just not really a universe. Oh yeah, also Ice Time cannot freeze the Law Beppo. So now with this 8-cost carrot, this should be closed out, but of course my opponent gets to spin his wheels. He does have the Ice Time, will make it so that I can't stall for another turn by freezing my carrots. That is something, I suppose, if he were to survive. But with 5 cards in hand, 1 life, and I'm looking at the 8-cost carrot in my hand, I'm just licking my lips saying, hey, you can have 4 counter events in hand. It's just neither here nor there. So he gives me the first counter event, and then goes down to 4 cards. I will swing 11, threaten the 15, so he kind of has to. Again, he doesn't have to, but especially if he's holding like 3 counter events, he could be daring me to go, but obviously I don't have to go, so we'll swing another 7, and then we'll restand them all, do it again, and it's, we're just... Maybe I should have fast forwarded through this kind of a thing. We were kind of just waiting for the inevitable. My opponent doesn't know that, though. Obviously, he doesn't know that I have the 8 cost in hand, but we'll show him, we'll swing the 11, and this should be the game. Here we are up in game 3, and up against another one of the starter decks, sort of. I mean, this is the other guy that stole all of Zoro's cards along with Carrot. It's Mihawk, and so we did win the die roll, choosing to go second. Now that Mihawk has access to the 6-cost Mihawk, it's a lot better, in my opinion, to take second from him, as one of the most powerful things that he can do is drop the Mihawk plus a Kinemon and freeze whatever your 5-drop was that you had just played. So I am kind of playing on easy mode in this game, but it is still winnable even if you do go first. You just have to have a considerably better hand than your opponent at that point. And that does change the matchup, where it used to be basically like even if Mihawk got to go first, and then slightly favored for Carrot if Carrot gets to go first. It kind of flips now to where basically in order to be favored, you have to go second. And actually, if Mihawk gets to go second, I would say he's slightly favored. Previously, I would still put it at like a pretty even matchup when you got your preferred. I am clearing the weenies out this time. As time goes on, I hate doing it more and more. I think I'm going to stop clearing weenies. They're going to get the card draw at some point, most likely. They play like 16 of these little goobers. But theoretically, you're keeping them off of getting the free Samurai, You Can Be My Samurai event. Like in this instance, if he had You Could Be My Samurai, he could have played it right here, but because I cleared both of his little guys, he cannot. So that is a reason to clear them. I have committed to clearing them. I think I will probably end up swinging into this Otama again, but yeah, like I said, in the future, I don't see myself doing that anymore. I think I just say, you can have your extra cards, and I'm going to power through. The only time I will swing into weenies is with other 1-drops myself. So, like, the Kinemon still turns sideways, clears out the enemy Kinemon, but I would not swing my leader in. Reason being is because I'd be giving a damage or taking a card out of their hand with my 5k swing, where if I swing at the little guy, I'm taking a potential card out of their hand in the future from You Can Be My Samurai. I don't know, it just sounds better to me to get the card now. So for my opponent's turn, he froze both of my Minks, which, if I had the 8 cost, be very unlucky for me. I don't have it anyway, so really no skin off my nose in terms of my own game plan. I'll pressure one of them just to take a card out. Since we committed to the swing at their board game plan, I have to keep on swinging at their board. That's kind of how that works. He does have a smoker, but I can pop that with my 6-cost Carrot. Unfortunately, I don't have Zoe, but thankfully, we haven't had to turn any of our Minks sideways yet. I guess I have them Wanda turned, but yeah, if we did, then he could start swinging into my board, which, Mihawk swings tend to be quite large because of his leader effect, so I'd have to start giving cards up as it is. I did defend against a 6k swing on my leader last turn, just because in the end game, it's a lot easier if you can have 1 or 2 life remaining. That being said, sometimes I go to 0 anyway, just because, what's Mihawk really going to do if his board can't turn is He's going to have a 16 to swing. But here we go. Pedro showing his worth. He can pop the Perona in response. And now my opponent gets to cheat out another 5-cost character. We'll stun both of my characters again. Man, I haven't really gotten to turn anything sideways, but like I said, it's actually not that big of a deal for me because I don't have Zoe. If I had Zoe, then it'd feel a lot worse. Well, there's Zoe. So I can actually put that into play now with my carrot. And so hopefully now, unfortunately, carrot did whiff on finding it, so -1 card in hand. It does happen. Again, we're still committed to clearing the board, so I'll rest the blocker and freeze it, swing into the Kinemon, demand a 2k out of his hand. And now again, the nice thing about carrot compared to Mihawk is that, since we have no characters rested, his Law and Beppo will not put his leader to 7k. And that makes his swings into us a lot worse. He can go, like 7-8. So I'll give him 2 cards, compared to if he was a 7, he'd get to go for 3 7Ks and leave up a Dawn. None of that really matters, though, because my opponent didn't play La Beppo. So instead, he's kind of digging through his deck, looking for, I don't really know exactly what he's looking for. I guess more guys to put in play. Maybe Mihawk plus another Kinemon freeze one of my carrots. But clearly doesn't have exactly what he wants. He does use the event finally to draw 2. He hasn't been able to do that yet, but that's exactly my point, is that I spent all game trying to prevent him from resolving You Can Be My Samurai, and then he got to do it anyway. It was maybe a little later than before, but it happened all the same. He's going to swing 10-10, and unfortunately I don't have 2 2Ks, so I have to end up giving him 3 cards. I'm down to my final 5 cards and 1 life, and I have no blockers in play. Thankfully, I can probably clear his board out, and, then I can establish some blockers. Thankfully, we don't have that Rush Shanks in the meta yet, so once that does come around, then he can go 9, 12, and rest all your blockers. But for right now, we can at least establish some Bonnie blockers, filter some cards out of our hand. I don't think I'm going to have 2 turns to play La Beppo, so I believe I shall be dumping one of them at least. Okay, or maybe I won't be doing that. I'm going to play another Bonnie, though, so we'll see what comes of that. It's not like I can die, right? I really don't know why I guess I'm thinking maybe this game goes a little bit longer, but there's no way that he goes for Dead Man's Game and tries to push for game here. No, more likely than not, this is going to be a La Beppo turn. He just filtered through 6 cards last turn, maybe even more. So he definitely has one in hand. And it just kind of makes sense. He would jam one down, rest my La Beppo, swing 8 into my 5k leader. I'll give him a block, and then... I guess he could even swing a little bit more. Okay, no, it is exactly 8. And hold up 2 Dawn. Now there's no way that he dies, but I can drop my extra La Beppo. I'm kind of in what you would call I'm an 8-cost carrot waiting room, because even with double La Beppo, if he maintains 7k status with 12 cards in hand and a couple Dawn up, there's just not really a way for me to kill him unless I have this the 8k. And so, again, it's not like I'm going to die. I need to get these cards out of his hand. I will give up a Dawn and one of my blockers again to keep on trying to push. So he plays another La Beppo, of course, and will then take my last blocker. But I should have enough counter power now that with this third La Beppo, so I guess I was correct to keep it. We can go 7, 7, 11, take 1 more life and 2 cards out of his hand, and hopefully, even without the 8-cost carrot, even if he is a 7k leader, then we can push through and win the game. My opponent's turn, he's going to have 2 options. Either he blockers up, or he pushes for game. If he blockers up, I might have Dead Man's Game, and he won't be a 7k anymore, and suddenly 3 La Beppos, even with, what has he got, 12 cards in hand, doesn't look too great. Alternatively, he pushes for game with Dead Man's Game. I've set it up to look really juicy for him. I've got 1 blocker and 1 Dawn, so he gets to rest both. However, I do have 6k in counter power, which allows me to go up to 13. he is choosing to swing 12 and 12 to match numbers. Well, I go to 13. So there was no way that I could die to this line, and that's why I didn't leave anything else up. So it is a win for us, and let's get into game 4. It's going to be Black Yellow Teach, and he does win the die roll, obviously chooses to go second, and well, you can expect to see a big uptick in this deck, at least for this pocket format, just because Red-Green Luffy is one of the most popular decks, and this deck just happens to kind of trounce it very easily with chained 10 drops, being able to turn off Luffy's ability. He does jam down his gosh, I forgot the character's name, but Vasco, I think it's Vasco Shot. You always just clear the weenies if you can in this deck, even if it would clear your own weenie with that one, just because you want to mitigate the amount of redirect targets that the Teach has, as long as you're not giving up a swing at their life. If I wouldn't put a 5k into a 2k, but I would put in a 2k into it, even though they draw a card off of it. They had to play it from hand, so it's really net even for them, and then they won't have it for later in the game to redirect to. Now, the nice thing, if you saw my last video about RY Bonnie, this 4-cost unremovable guy is really the reason why that matchup is hard for Bonnie. Similarly, though, it's simpler for Carrot because, we don't really care about popping. We only care about freezing for the most part. And so I can do that here. I will simply play my 5-cost from hand, and I can freeze it, and then I'll still have enough Dawn. I can... okay, so this is actually also 5-cost attacks, or 5k attacks are really strong. Unfortunately, he gets a really nice trigger there. These that trigger puts us hugely on the back foot, because next turn, we could potentially have dropped an 8-cost Carrot, swung 4 times. Now, obviously, I would have preferred to swing even more, but he played this Rayleigh, which popped my other body. Not that Kinemon is a mink, so it's not like Kinemon would have gotten to restand anyway. Thankfully, I do top into another 5-cost character, and it's a good one. It is Bonnie. I do have to just swing a 5, though, because I have to play the Carrot first. Let's see if Past Me realizes that, or if Past Me is going to attach this Dawn and then realize that I cannot actually play double 5-cost that way. So if you have 2 goobers in play, then you can do what I would like to do, but since I only have the 1, I have to swing 5. So yeah, okay, I can play the Carrot out first, and there's no risk of it dying this time. And okay, I'll attach a Dawn here. Swing 6 into a 6. I guess we're hoping that he doesn't have any counter, or at least forcing him to use a counter from hand. He is only on 5 cards remaining. That is true, but the odds are he has this the big Teach. So I will have to counter out, and I'm actually going to 0 this turn, which is not ideal. Obviously, I prefer not to be at 0, but I should be able to maintain from here thanks to La Beppo, and the fact that unlike RY Bonnie, with the leader boost that it provides is not attached to my character, instead attached to the leader. Attached to an effect that occurred prior, so even if I get 10 costed again, I still remain a 7k, which means I will live. And I have a blocker. He could have another 6 cost, and then he swings like 12 into me, which is exactly enough to kill me. So, I mean, not ideal there, but okay, we will just give him 2 here. And the reason I'm giving him the 2 1Ks over an event is because if he were to play a 10-drop, which we all know he's fiending to do, I can actually rest it with my double event here. And then he'll only have 3 cards left in hand and 1 life with no blockers, because, again, I'll be able to rest with this double event. And I have the 8 cost as well, so I can swing a bunch of times into it. Into his leader. I'll have 5 swings total. 5 swings. And he has to, he could redirect 1 time. But, I mean, that would be my reasoning for holding on to this double, but I guess he's going to give me the block for just 1. And actually, that's even better for me. If we're being real, this is the ideal scenario. Is what I would say, but actually he's just popped my 5 cost, with another trigger. So he's had some very good triggers this game. At this point, now, I could go 7-8, or I can go 8-9. I'll take the 8-9. He has to have exactly two 2Ks and a trigger in order to win from this position. He does not. It's going to be our game as a result. I got a little lucky at the end, but you know what? So did he, so I don't feel bad. Those triggers were actually really detrimental. Okay, here we go. We're up against the red-black Sabo, and he did actually get a new starter deck himself, but you would never know it because red-black Sabo players are not playing any of the cards in that deck. No, instead they have also stolen cards from a different starter deck, that being the red Luffy deck, in order to make what is basically some sort of a combo straw hat build. And this was actually my first time seeing it, so I thought it was really cool, which is why I'm including it. But it is actually easier for our carrot deck to beat this type of build because it has a lot less 8-cost characters in it. In fact, really the only big character that they're relying on to get their leader skill is the Pirate Docking 6 card, which of course becomes a 12 cost, but it's still just a 7k character, which means that our addition of Megalo is able to contest it very cleanly. And once that happens, their leader effect is then turned off. But as you can see, Sanji, the new one, can play out the Pirate Docking 6, which then resurrects a Nami from grave. They get to cycle through a lot of their deck, find more pieces. The one drawback being, of course, that unlike Red Luffy, now he cannot use leader effect to stick to Dawn on the Sanji and swing with it. But he still gets a lot of bodies in play, and they're going to get boosted by 1k on his next turn using his leader effect. Thankfully, we can at least freeze the Sanji to try to mitigate as many swings as we possibly can. He'll probably be able to swing to take 2 of my life, establish like another Pirate Docking 6, maybe an extra guy. He did, I think, search out, he just got a Sanji. No, that's not the right Sanji. He could combo again. They'd play another 5-cost Sanji, play a Luffy is actually what they would like to play, into the Sanji, and then he'll still have Dawn to attach to his leader. He can swing like 7-8 at me, and yeah, I would take both, so I'll go down to 3 life, and he'll have a full board again, so that's pretty good for him. He will then, though, of course, have to deal with the fact that my Megalo will come down, pop one of his Pirate Dockings, and then Odin will freeze the other one because, like I said, Odin does hit base cost. And, from there, also, Carrot can freeze, the Sanji if he decides to stick 2 Dawn on that and attack with it, and I can rest the Luffy with my other leader skill to then freeze that, and basically, while it looks really good right from here, our carrot deck has really good tools to answer this kind of thing. We do only have 8 Dawn, so for that play, it's going to take all of our available. And he didn't actually turn the Sanji, so we can just rest the Luffy, because it's not currently getting boosted since he only has 1 Dawn attached. He did leave 1 up, probably for a counter event. But we can just rest the Luffy, swing 5 into it with our leader, see if he wants to give us a card for it. If he does, great, we'll freeze it. If he doesn't, well, now it's dead. Either way, though, then our 5-cost carrot can go at their leader, who is 6k. Otherwise, I would just swing leader if he was still a 5k, but he's not. So we'll check the 5. If it dies, great. If not, it's frozen. And then we will KO the 8k that's rested, and we'll will Odin the standing 8k, and he'll just have a weenie plus his leader to swing with on his next turn, as well as whatever rushers he has from hand. But it looks really good to me. And now the one downside is, while we have another Megalo, this Pirate Docking 6 is not going to be turned sideways, so we won't be able to pop it with Megalo again. The bright side is we do still have Law Beppo to play. And are we going to be at... Actually, I think... Did we go first or second? I think we did go second. So we'll be at 10 Dawn. We can Law Beppo next turn. And so there goes our carrot, though. As a result of them playing Straw Hat Package, they do have access to that. And, of course, we're not protecting the Megalo. The Megalo doesn't matter anymore. I will take a 7. I don't have Dawn up to cast my event anyway, and I don't want to give 2 cards. He plays another one of the... events. He probably showed those to us with his with his Luffy because they has to reveal in order to cheat out the Sanji. I just wasn't really paying attention, but it is kind of a moot point anyway. We'll see if he wants to give us 2 cards to keep this Luffy alive. It's actually probably worth it because the Luffy does get 2k bonus from his own effect and then 1k from the leader, so he's basically like a 7k without having to give anything for it. But it does a strain on our opponent's hand. He's down to just 7 cards with 2 cards in life, and we've got the 8 cost carrot in our hand. So we'll also be able to KO this rested 8k again. We've got another Megalo in our hand, and well, 10k is quite rich for my blood, but I think I'll pay it anyway just because I do have the Dawn available. Well, I would now, but let's see if Past Me did that. Yeah. I should probably just give the Kinemon plus an event. Let's see, Past Me, did you decide to do that or not? He did. Okay. So, does he want to turn the other Luffy sideways? I'll have to give it 2k for that, or, well, 1k if he... Of course, if I'm going to play the Megalo, I want to play this carrot. So, he actually decides not to turn it sideways. I don't think that I agree with that, but that's only because I have the information of my own hand, and the information of my own hand says I'm going to KO your guy that boosts him and then turn him sideways anyway and swing into him with an 11. And oh, actually I don't even need to swing into him. I can freeze him. I can just swing into your leader. But we'll I guess we'll swing into the character, because the thing is, if we swing the character and he gives it, then we don't even need to we don't need to play the Megalo. But it is important that we kill it, because that is, again, the only card in his deck that's going to boost him above the turn on his leader effect, which makes him a 6k. So now he's just a 7k guy. I guess I can rest the... Yeah, I can pay this. I could pay the 1, rest the Sanji instead. It's the difference between a 7k and a 9k body. But okay, we'll swing 6 into 6. That way we can hold Dawn up, and if he lets it die, he lets it die. We can play the Odin instead and draw a card. Of course, I would rather have the carrot in play. Why? Because I have 8 cost carrot to follow up with. So I'd probably just freeze it anyway. Even if he let it die, I'd probably play the carrot anyway, even though it doesn't actually freeze anything. He has another Sanji to play, which is really annoying. Now he's still 7k, but with a carrot in play, I should be able to freeze both of them, as well as this Luffy here, and so it ends up being I just have to hold on to 1 life. If I hold on to 1 life, I shouldn't be able to die. And that's looking like what I will be able to do. Of course, he can charge this Zoro into my rested Megalo if he so desires. I actually don't think that he should, though. Looks like he will. There's not really a reason to. Like, if he does make it to 1 more turn, he's not going to be able to make it to a turn after that. He knows that. I know that. Like, that's not really a secret. Thankfully, I got a 2k out of life. That's a lot of breathing room. And now that I'm going to be able to freeze one of these Zoros, KO the Luffy, KO the Sanji, freeze the other one. Like, this is just really not worth it for him to be defending. But I will take the cards. So now I can go leader, actually, with this 11k, but I guess I'll guarantee it, sure. KO that guy, play the 8 cost carrot, restand them all, rest the Sanji, swing into the Sanji, freeze the Zoro, swing 7, swing 11, probably take both of his life, and then say you better kill me with the Nami in play and your leader. That doesn't sound very likely when I've got 2 2ks, a counter event, and a 1k, but we'll see what he's got. He is, of course, thinking, maybe I can stall 1 more turn. Maybe he has a Zoro in hand, like another Zoro. That'd be the only thing I could think of that potentially could save him. But no, he will take the 2 damage, and that means that both of us know he has to kill me this turn. He can go like 8-9 with just what he has on board, or if he has a rusher from hand, maybe it would be a little bit better. But no, it looks like it is going to be the 8-9, so we'll show him the counter power, and that's going to be the game. Okay, here we go, and we're going to end this one off with a double feature against the ever-popular red-green Luffy deck. I'll show one where I won the die roll and one where I lost the die roll. So when I win, I choose go second. And I opened up a Kinemon, so let's go ahead and dump something that won't be useful. I do have my one of Electrical Luna in hand. That's the only one in the deck, but I am going to dump it because I don't think it's actually necessarily the most important card in our hand right now. Like, the way that you usually win this matchup, because you can't really hit the red-green Luffy player early, you have to just bully their board with removal effects, relying on the fact that basically they can't play Laboon to defend them because you could just rest the Laboon and swing over it. Unfortunately, I have Zoe in hand, but I can still pop this guy. And then whatever you can't KO, you just freeze with your 5-cost carrot. And then hopefully all of your guys restand at the end of your turn with Zoe. But again, I don't have Zoe. That's kind of a one flaw with this current hand. But I do want to hang on to like 1 or 2 life. And this is the card that is actually like pretty troublesome for me, is this 7k double attacker, because I can't rest it with leader effect. And so we'll just swing into the Usopp, see if he wants to let it die for free. He has to give basically at least a card to save it. And yeah, 7 should usually do it. If it's not enough, then we can still at least freeze it. Instead, though, now I can play out a Bonnie. Or, oh, actually, Kinemon. Yeah. Hey, Kinemon does stop this 6-cost from attacking. That being said, I don't really care about going to 1. Going to 1 is not so bad. It's going to 0 that would be awful. Still, we'll play the Kinemon. He's a new card. Draws us a card anyway. Bonnie would have drawn us 2, so it's a little better at getting to Zoe. But the important thing is that we can get to the La Beppo and have at least 1 life left. Because once you do that, then you chain the La Beppos, and once you have like 2 or 3 La Beppos, actually I usually need 3. 2 is actually usually not enough. Hey, it's the 3rd one off of our life. Once you have that, then you're good to go. So, unfortunately, I have to turn my whole board sideways because he did leave 5 Dawn up. If I wanted to hit him, I'd have to turn the whole thing. I'm not doing that. So this is a game where I'm not really going to have time to play La Beppo. Not La Beppo, I'm not going to have time to play Zoe. The only way that I could possibly force a Zoe here is if I have Zoe in hand already, and then a 1-cost carrot 2k. Then I will play the 1-cost carrot 2k to get the Zoe in play, even though, you know, I'm giving up 2k out of my hand, as well as another card from hand to do it. But like, I don't want to just let it rip with a 1-cost carrot, because if I miss and I don't get the Zoe, then I won't be able to play La Beppo, and I need to play La Beppos until I'm ready to win the game. That's just kind of how it goes. And, you know, that's nothing new. If you played carrot before, you know that's how it is. Similarly, my opponent here, he has to play 7-cost Zoros until I'm not able to La Beppo anymore. So it's kind of the Zoro versus La Beppo war. Now, the one upside that Red-Green Luffy has nowadays that he didn't used to have is, well, now Red-Green Luffy has access to the 7-cost Luffy. And the 7-cost Luffy, of course, says minus power equal to how many Straw Hat cards you have in play. So my rested La Beppo is actually not safe. He could get dropped to, what would it be? It would be like a 5k? There's no way I'm defending a 5k. He could swing 1 guy into it, and I would let it go. So that is a concern for me. The other concern is that I currently don't have a blocker. Yeah, this law becomes a blocker once I lose a life, but he could potentially take both of my life with 1 fell swoop if he were to don up this 6-cost Luffy. Now, as a result, I'll just go ahead and take the first hit because I want to turn on the blocker. Here he goes, though. He has another Zoro. Again, we're okay with this. It's still fine. We're within acceptable parameters. I actually don't know why I'm swinging it as Luffy. I should be swinging into the Sanji, because the Sanji has text on it, whereas the Luffy no longer has text. Double attack doesn't matter. I'm down to 1 life. I am going to be playing over this Kinemon, though, and freezing the other Zoro. Can't really do much better than that right now. I guess the other thing I could do is get the Zoe in play finally, but then I'm not establishing a 10-drop. I can still freeze the other guy. But yeah, I think I should just be playing this La Beppo and freezing the other guy and then trying to push for game on my next turn. Despite the fact that I don't yet have Zoe, and I don't have 8-cost carrot either. So I have to stumble my way into an 8 cost carrot to really threaten for lethal. And additionally, he has to not have another Zoro. So, okay, here we go. I'll instead just freeze the Zoro, let him keep one Zoro. I'm only a 5k leader now, but I do have access to double events. He could, of course, go for Dead Man's Game, rest my blocker, and a Dawn, but then I could still get to 15, so it's not like I'm dying to whatever he throws at me from that position. Here he goes. He'll just swing the 9. I will give him my block. The reason being is I don't imagine his leader's actually going to swing for that much. It, at most, could swing for like 8 here in order for him to leave the Dawn up. He actually swings... Okay, yeah, I guess he gets to swing 9. But now I have Zoe in play, and having Zoe in play just feels really, really nice. From here now, I can freeze his Zoro, clear his Sanji, like he's not saving it from 2 11k swings. I may even be able to pressure his leader a little bit, and then I can establish another Law Beppo in addition to my current board, and he's out of Zoros. So it looks really good for me. I think I should be able to win from this position. Yeah, he lets that go, so now we can freeze both. I should really swing with the carrot first. Yeah. We'll go 7-7, 7-11. This should at least get 1 life out and a card. It could potentially get 2 life. So we'll see what happens there. Now, they do have a rusher now, which is, of course, the 7 cost. But that rusher would only be like a 9-9 to try to go for game, and we have 4k counterpower in hand, so I'm not afraid of dying. The only thing I would be potentially afraid of is one of my Law Beppos dying. And, okay, so yeah, it's going to be 1 card and 1 life. But I can't save both Law Beppos, so I'll just bring the carrot back up. There is a universe where I mean, have a blocker in hand. What if he walls up again, like plays a Zoro, swings like 7 into my leader, or maybe 8, and then I can clear one of his Zoros and have a blocker. I don't know. It's possible. Instead, he plays a card from hand. Actually, I think this is very, very insane, because now that's 1 less card he has in hand. Like, that could have just been a counterpower. But I decide, hey, you know what? We're going for game next turn. Rain or shine, here we go. I have double Wanda Searcher. I'm probably going to be able to find a carrot. That's like 5 Law Beppo swings. It should be enough. Hopefully. We'll see. With 4 cards and 3 life, even if he has like double, what's it called, the 2 cost event, even with that, I think it should be enough. So he's definitely this. I mean, this is gonna be the final turn. He knows it. I know it. He's making some calculations. He actually takes the first 7. Very interesting to me. Like, this is kind of a goading me to go for it. So I guess my opponent didn't realize that I am 100% going for it this turn when I'm at 0 life. Like, maybe there's a world where I rest his guy, E-Luna the board, play a blocker, and then stall for another turn. That is possible. He did see me discard 1 early, so he doesn't know that I only play 1 in the deck. I could have a second one in hand because I was so easily allowing the first one to go. That being said, you know, there was plenty of opportunities for me to play an E-Luna, so it's reasonable that I didn't have it, which I didn't. Okay, so there's the first Charleston, that's what it's called. I'll swing another 11. And here's the magic moment where we have to play double Wanda and hope to find one of our 3 8-cost carrots left in the deck. It's very likely I will find it, but it is possible that I don't, and if I don't, then my swings look so much worse. But here we go. We'll just play this over the 6-cost carrot. Do not find it with the first one. I do have a Law Beppo I could grab, or I could grab a Vent. All right, I grab a Vent, whatever. It doesn't actually matter. We're looking for the carrot. We found the carrot. I will swing 7. I will swing 5. I will restand 2 11k guys and my leader. Swing 5, swing 11, swing 11. And there should be no way for my opponent back into this game. He agrees, and that will be that. Last game up against the red-green Luffy, and they won the die roll. They're going second. Let's see what we can do while going first. Our hand, this is an okay hand. I will keep it. We have double carrot to go search for Zoe. I have said in the past that you should not just jam double carrot looking for Zoe. Like, if I whiff on the first one, I should just be happy with the fact that I have a mink in play for my 5-cost turn on the next turn. But you know what? If I were to have whiffed on that, I do think Zoe really is just important enough. I would go for it. And I'm kind of starving the Luffy player, knowing that I have to get to a board state of 3 10-cost bodies to reliably win the game. And so I do go for his blocker, or not blocker, the searcher, instead of doing anything really useful. And now I have ability to pop his Usopp. It's kind of something that has been added to by this Megalo, and if our opponent swings into the Megalo, all's the better. I'm not really doing anything with it anymore. Theoretically, I guess I could bounce it back with a Law, but again, I've only got 1 Law left in the deck, so unlikely that I will be doing that. I have a Laboon that I could discard. Yeah, it's not like my opponent's going to be popping my cards or anything like that. I have to swing just to get this Bonnie in play, and my opponent actually takes. I could have swung the carrot if I really wanted to make sure that he didn't lose life. Maybe that would have been more useful. I do pick up the pop carrot though, so I'll be able to clear this Sanji next turn. Unfortunately, I didn't have it for this turn, but even if he's able to keep a guy in play for a turn, it's not the end of the world. The one downside was I just passed up an 8-cost carrot plus 2 Law Beppos, I believe. So we're probably going to have to try to make this work with just 2 Law Beppos. Without the Supernova Searchers, it's a lot harder to get all the way through the deck. So those cards that just went to the bottom, I'm probably not seeing again. And with that in mind, it may have been better for me to just suck it up and take the Law Beppo instead of the more useful card for the immediately following turn, which is our 6-cost carrot. But I'll play the 6-cost carrot, I will pop the Sanji, and I will play a Pedro. And I'll pass. Pretty good. Our board is looking quite nice, and my opponent is looking like he doesn't have a board. And then he drops a 10-cost Shanks down. And I really was not expecting to have to deal with the 10-cost Shanks, I'll be honest. This was a card that was not on my radar as a possibility. Now, the plus side about 10-cost Shanks is that he is not a Straw Hat, and so the Luffy player is not going to be able to defend him. Any card that he gives up is real. He can't just use his Dawn to defend it. The downside for me is that I don't have Law Beppo, so my swings into it are fairly insubstantial. Well, I will rest my leader and this Wanda just so that I can use my Bonnie in order to get some cards into my hand and dump out this Zoe. And I guess I'll just establish probably another 6-cost. I need to get larger characters in play. Maybe I'll play the 5-cost though. Alright, I guess I'm playing the 5-cost. Nice thing about 5-cost, plus the event, we can still freeze the Shanks. So even though all our guys are getting -1, at the very least we can still, mitigate some of the damage we're taking. We're also full life though. Our opponent is also kind of doing the starve strat against us as much as we're starving them. I think I shall give a double block for this though. Should be Pedro first, and then I can rest the Dawn, and then honestly I don't imagine he's going more than like a 6, because otherwise he doesn't get to leave Dawn up, and will really start to threaten his leader. Oh wait, I'm just kidding. What am I saying? He's got the Nami Dawn is about to come unrested, so as long as he has 5 rested Dawn, then he'll still be able to do it. So we'll see how much he swings. He could actually reasonably swing like a 10 into my carrot, in which case I would give a Bonnie blocker for it. Here comes the Garp though. He has 3 left. I guess he could also like E-Luna. Could E-Luna here, or I Know You're Stronger, but I'd actually prefer if he did that. It's still a card out of his hand. How do you beat the Luffy deck? You have to eat cards out of their hand. There's just no two ways about it. Instead, he dawns up his guy and swings into me, which forces me to give a card out of my hand, so that's not ideal. I will just swing into the Nami, see if he gives it for free. He does, which means that it's time to swing 16 into the Shanks. Again, you can't use your Dawn to defend it, so that's 5k worth of real counterpower he has to give me, and so he gives the the Rayleigh event. This guy's playing some very interesting cards. I will give him that. cards I'm not used to seeing, but there was just not really anything else in my hand worth doing. I need a La Beppo, and I need to start losing life to draw into cards. Again, he's been starving me like all game. Well, he drops another Shanks down, and I'm starting to think this is looking like lights out. I'm not sure that I'll be able to sustain, but he actually just lets his Shanks stay standing, which probably means he doesn't have a ton of counter power in hand. And you know what? He has no Dawn up. He has no Dawn restanders. So I've just drawn into my carrot, my 8 cost. Let's push. Let's see what we can get done. Because this is probably the best turn I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to swing 5s. I'm going to swing 5s all day. And demand a card for every single one. I have like 7 swings here. He might die. He might just drop dead. It's very possible, because of the fact that he left no Dawn up. And this is another reason why Shanks is, maybe not the most popular card to be playing, is that it leaves you vulnerable to something like this, especially if you're going to starve me. But yeah, we'll demand 3k more worth of counter, and he just doesn't have it. Okay, so those were the games, and as you can see, she's still got some kick in her, especially with the new removal tools added in the mix, but the cracks are beginning to show more and more as new cards keep getting added that don't boost her overall game plan. She can definitely still do well at locals, but I wouldn't take Carrot to a regional in this format. That being said, 16.5 is going to be a very short meta, and with 17 just on the horizon, things are going to shake up quite a bit. And even though Carrot doesn't really get new cards in that set either, outside of a couple copies of the 10 cost Shanks, which I'm pretty sure every green deck will be playing a few of from now on, there are quite a few matchups in that format that she's quite adept against. It's no secret that she's strong into other green decks due to her stage allowing her to restand units at the end of each turn, but Rocks is also particularly weak to huge amounts of low to mid-sized swings that hit before the 10 Dawn turn, making the 8 cost Carrot very good for tempoing them out of the game. That's a discussion for a future video though. For now, brush off your Carrot deck for locals this month, jam in the starter deck cards, and get to freezing your opponent's board. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel to see more, and as always, thank you for watching.